Welcome to the YouTube live book reading of the African origin of civilization, myth, or reality by the great Dr. Cheikh Anta. All right, Vine Rising. Welcome to the peaceful part of YouTube where we read books and learn from masters. So we are picking up on uh, chapter 2, page 23. So thank you all for being here. It's a beautiful, beautiful era in our life. Let's begin with this fourth reading of the African origin of civilization, myth, or reality, bottom of page 23, chapter 2. The social and moral order was on the same level of perfection. Nowhere did any pre-logical mentality reign in the sense that Livy Broll understood it. But there is no need to refute here an idea that its author rejected before his death. On the other hand, for all the reasons cited above, technical development was less stressed than in Europe. Although the Negro had been the first to discover iron, he had built no cannon. Who the secret of gunpowder was known only to the Egyptian priests, who used it solely for religious purposes at rites such as the mysteries of Osiris. Cf. Cornelius de Paul's Recherche sur les Égyptiens et les Chinos. Africa was therefore quite vulnerable from the technical standpoint. It became tempting, irresistible prey for the West, provided with firearms and far-ranging navies. So the economic progress of Renaissance Europe spurred on the conquest of Africa, which was rapidly accomplished. It passed from the stage of coastal trading posts to that of an annexation by the Western international agreements, followed by armed conquest called pacification. At the beginning of this period, America was discovered by Christopher Columbus, and the overflow of the old continent was dumped on the new. The development of virgin lands required cheap labor. Defenseless Africa then became the ready-made reservoir from which to draw the labor force with minimum expense and risk. The modern Negro slave trade was considered an economic necessity prior to the advent of the machine. This would last until the mid-19th century. Such a reversal of roles, the result of new technical relations, brought with it master-slave relationships between whites and blacks on the social level. Already during the Middle Ages, the memory of a Negro Egypt that had civilized the world had been blurred by ignorance of the antique tradition hidden in libraries or buried under ruins. It would become more obscure during these 4 centuries of slavery. Inflated by their recent technical superiority, the Europeans looked down on the black world and condescended to touch nothing but its riches. Ignorance of the blacks' ancient history, differences of mores and customs, ethnic prejudices between two races that believed themselves to be facing each other for the first time, combined with the economic necessity to exploit, So many factors predisposed the mind of the European to distort the moral personality of the Black and his intellectual aptitudes. Henceforth, Negro became a synonym for primitive being, inferior, endowed with a pre-logical mentality, as the human being is always eager to justify his conduct. They went even further. The desire to legitimize colonization and the slave trade. In other words, the social conditions of the Negro in the modern world engendered an entire literature to describe the so called inferior traits of the Black. The mind of several generations of Europeans would thus mm, mm, be gradually indoctrinated. Western opinion would crystallize and instinctively accept as revealed truth the equation Negro equal inferior humanity. To crown this cynicism, colonization would be depicted as a duty of humanity. They invoke the civilizing mission of the West, charged with the responsibility to raise the African to the level of other men, known to us as the white man's burden. From then on, capitalism had clear sailing to practice the most ferocious exploitation under the cloak of moral pretext. At most, they recognize that the Negro has artistic gifts linked to his sensitivity as an inferior animal, such is the opinion of the Frenchman's Joseph de Gobineau, precursor of Nazi philosophy, who, in his famous book on the inequality of human races, decrees that the artistic sense is inseparable from Negro blood, but he reduces art to an inferior manifestation of human nature. In particular, the sense of rhythm is related to the Black's emotional aptitudes. Peace. Welcome, YouTube. Welcome to the live book reading of The Civilization, the origin of African origin of civilization, myth or reality by Dr. Cheikh and Diop. And we are in the second chapter, about to close out now. This chapter, that is. Thank you for being here. Peace. YouTube, thank you for the likes and subs. We're pushing towards 700. We're on this peaceful part of YouTube where we read books and learn from masters. All right, we're flowing through it. Page 25 in the middle. This climate of alienation finally deeply affected the personality of the Negro, especially the educated Black who had an opportunity to become conscious of world opinion about him and his people. It often happens that the Negro intellectual loses confidence in his own possibilities, in those of his race, to such an extent that despite the validity of the evidence presented in this book, it will not be astonishing if some of us are still unable to believe that Blacks really played the earliest civilizing role in the world. We know now as safe self loathing, self hate, dislike. Let's put a pin right here because he identified it way back there. And when he wrote this in 1967, he identified that some would not get it. He knew it. He knew some people wouldn't get it. It's unfortunate, but self-hate, you know, is a psychological um, ailment that the cause is coming from the slavery and, the downtrodden words and books written against us. So, yeah, that's an effect, an after effect. Thank you so much for being here. We're correcting it by spreading the light, reading to the people. Thank you so much for being here and seeing it live. Here we're closing out this chapter, chapter 2, the birth of the Negro myth. Frequently, blacks of high intellectual attainments remain so victimized by this alienation that they seek in all good faith to codify those Nazi ideas in an alleged duality of the sensitive, emotional Negro, creator of art, and the white man, especially endowed with rationality. So it is in good faith that a black African poet expressed himself in a verse of admirable beauty. L'émotion est négre et la raison hellénique. Emotion is Negro and reason Greek. Little by little, a complementary Negro literature appeared, intentionally puerile, good humored, passive, resigned, whimpering, a mass of current Negro artistic creations greatly appreciated by the Westerners forms a mirror in which these Westerners can look with pride while wallowing in paternalistic sentimentality as they contemplate what they believe to be their superiority. The reaction would be quite different if the same judges were confronted by a perfectly composed hmm Negro work, which abandoned that pattern and broke with any reflexes of subordination as well as inferiority complexes to assume a natural place on a level of equality. Such a work would certainly risk appearing pretentious and at least exasperating to some people. The memory of the recent slavery to which the black race has been subjected, cleverly kept alive in men's minds, and especially in black minds, often affects black consciousness negatively. From that recent slavery, an attempt has been made to construct, despite all historical truth, a legend that the black has always been reduced to slavery by the superior white race with which he has lived, wherever it may have been. The, this enables whites easily to justify their presence mhm, of Negroes in Egypt or in Mesopotamia or Arabia by decreeing that they were enslaved. Although such an affirmation is nothing but dogma designed to falsify history. Does and those who advance it are fully aware that it is erroneous. It nonetheless contributes to alienating black consciousness. Thus, another great Negro poet, perhaps the greatest of our time, Amy Cesar, writes in a poem entitled Since Akkad, Since Elam, Since Sumer. Master of the three roads, before you stands a man who has walked much. Master of the three roads, before you stands a man who has walked on his hands, walked on his feet, walked on his belly and walked on his backside. Since Elam, since C.A.D, since Sumer. Elsewhere he writes, those who invented neither gunpowder nor compass, those who tamed neither steam nor electricity, those who explored neither the sky nor the sea. Throughout these transformations in the Negro's relations with the rest of the world, it became increasingly difficult each day and even inadmissible for those unaware of his past glory, and for blacks themselves to believe that they could have originated the first civilization which flowered on earth, a civilization to which humanity owes most of its progress. Henceforth, even when the proofs are piled high before their eyes, the experts will not see them except through blinkers and will always interpret them falsely. They will build the most improbable theories, since interpret them, theory, since any improbability seems more logical to them than the truth of the most important historical document attesting the early civilizing role of blacks. Before examining the contradictions circulating in the modern era and resulting from attempts to prove at any price that the Egyptians are whites, let us note the astonishment of the scholar of good faith, Count Constantin Divalny, 1757, 1820. Mhm. After being imbued with all the prejudices we have just mentioned with regard to the Negro, Volney had gone to Egypt between 1783 and 1785, while Negro slavery flourished. Mhm. He reported as follows on the Egyptian race, the very race that had produced the pharaohs, the Copts. All have a bloated face, puffed up eyes, flat nose, thick lips. In a word, the true face of the mulatto. I was tempted to attribute it to the climate, but when I visited the Sphinx, its appearance gave me the key to the riddle. On seeing that head, typically Negro in all its features, I remembered the remarkable passage where Herodotus says, as for me, I judged the Colchians to be a colony of the Egyptians because, like them, they are black with woolly hair. In other words, the ancient Egyptians were true Negroes of the same type as all native born Africans. That being so, we can see how their blood mixed for several centuries with that of the Romans and Greeks must have lost its intensity of its original color, while retaining nonetheless the imprint of its original mold. We can even state as a general principle that the face is a kind of monument able, in many cases, to attest or shed light on historical evidence on the origins of peoples. This is so great. So, wow. It's so clear, right? So clear. Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Not any doubt. You see, Count Volney attested to it. They were black. All the Egyptians, native indigenous, they were black. Yeah. I told you we built all of the pyramids. After illustrating this proposition by citing the case of Normans who still resembled the Danes 900 years after the conquest of Normandy, Volney adds. But returning to Egypt, the lessons she teaches history contains many reflections for philosophy. What a subject for meditation to see the present barbarism and ignorance of the Copts, descendants of the alliance between the profound genius of the Egyptians and the brilliant mind of the Greeks. Just think that this race of black men today our slave and the object of our scorn is the very race to which we owe our arts, science, and even the use of speech. Mm, mm. Just imagine, finally, that it is in the midst of peoples who call themselves the greatest friends of liberty and humanity that one has approved the most barbarous slavery and questioned whether black men have the same kind of intelligence as whites. I was telling you, I'll be putting it in other people's embongis and everything. I was telling you, this is all the stuff that people believe, blonde hair, blue eyes, and all that stuff. That's literally Nazi ideology. It's never been true. And yet people still repeat it and think this is beauty and, the standards of what is righteous and so on and so forth. And it's literally the opposite. That's why in the poem, way back, see, because I had been reading this stuff for a long time before I made my album. And that's why I say in one of my poems on the Love Over Hate album, I say, the truth is often the opposite. Surprise, we are alive. We all still win. You know, when I'm saying that, I'm speaking to this. That stuff is clear as day, right in front of us. You see the great migration of hippopotamus and crocodiles and birds of all types and, elephants and lions all together, all on the same continent, traveling together. And yet we question, what is the original land? That doesn't happen anywhere else on this planet. So we want to continue to shine the light on the truth. Thank you so much for being here. All right. And this is 14. As we're closing out this chapter, I will read these to you as we show them. And then I'll let you go on in your day. All right. 14. The Egyptian woman. Thank you so much for the likes and subs. The African origin of civilization, myth or reality by Dr. Cheikh Anta. We're in the second chapter, closing out. All right. And 15. Egyptian woman, the lady with thumbs. It's hard, love. Isn't it beautiful? She is just delightful. Yeah. The truth shall set you free. And the Egyptian woman making perfume. And you see, so beautiful. Look at that. Making perfume. Isn't that amazing? Highest heart, love. Thank you for reading with us, the book lovers community. That's right. It's all about truth and facts. Look, here we go. This is a big, beautiful one, too. Vintage time on the estate of an Egyptian priest. Oh, man, this is absolutely beautiful. right? These reliefs are stunning. But yeah, the Egyptians were black. And they perceived themselves as, never would have perceived themselves as anything other than that. Well, indigenous color and the land of the sun. So it's the land of the sun. We're going to have darker tint skin. Okay, so here's 18. Egyptian sculpture, battalion of 40 armed Sudanese from tomb of Prince Masathi of Aziot, 12th dynasty, Cairo Museum. All right. Photo by Federico Borromeo, Borromeo Scala. It's powerful, very powerful picture. Thank you so much for reading with us. Thank you for the likes and subs. The origin of civilization, the African origin of civilization, myth or reality, as we see, it's reality. And we're in the second chapter. Thank you so much for being here. None of those people are white or look even remotely white. Egyptian fishing, 12th dynasty. The slender bodies and rhythmic movements remind one of any work seen in Black Africa today. This is beautiful relief. Look at this relief. Wow. Powerful. Powerful. Thank you for being here and reading with us. Book lovers community. Yep. We read even the banned books. And that's what I've really been targeting a lot on this channel. If you actually take a look at some of the books, you're like, yeah, because I want to bring the information to the people. We don't want to hold information back. I don't play that. I'm a master fitness trainer. And so, as a master that's always mastering, I'm always going to be looking for expansion. Part of that expansion is the information and wisdom that we can give out. And with that, it's always important that, you know, be gentle, loving, and caring. All right, here we go. Egyptian heads. Middle Kingdom. These have been called heads of foreigners because they are too Negroid, but obviously they're not. They wouldn't be depicted and sculpted if they were foreigners. These Egyptian women were very, very common. And the Great Mother, carriers of Ma'at, balance, justice, harmony, reciprocity. All right. And this is 21. A cook, 5th dynasty, with reddish brown body. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here and reading with us. This peaceful part of YouTube where we read books and learn from masters. I'm master fitness trainer, Uriel Riley, also master poet and healer, bringing you live from the light. All right. And this is 22. The Nok, terracotta, Nigeria, the Negro depicted by himself. Compare this with Egyptian statuary, the same physical features, but note contrast with peasant prisoners in figure 23. This is a difference of class, not race. Photo by W. Fag from Nigerian Images. the splendor of African sculpture. Oh, yes. We're back to having vocabulary in our books now, right? To all the book lovers community. Yeah, it's Love Like Sky gave us a break from the vocabulary. Now we're back into it. So I will post it in the playlist when it's finished uploading, and in the description will be the vocabulary that you can look at briefly from this reading. All right, and this is 23. It says, Black peasant prisoners on the tomb of Pharaoh Horemheb. Yeah, Horemheb. Note the differences from the urban type in previous figure. This peasant type appears in African urban centers only after transplantation of rural elements bearing the signs of hard country life. So, what has been misinterpreted as a racial difference is in reality only class distinction between the city aristocrat and the wrinkled peasant with rough hands, who had become less common in Egypt where farming was not so difficult as in Nubia. Here we go. So as you'll see, look at this. Beautiful. This is the peasants of the time being depicted. Let's see. It's always, especially when you're dealing with Ma'at, there's always honor, respect. So it wasn't even remotely close to any chattel slavery going on. That's how you know it's barbarous, the slavery that was used in here in America. All right, and 24, Egyptian princess and the three Senegalese girls. The coiffures of the princess upper left and three post-pubescent girls prior to 1946 reflect a constant effort from Egyptian antiquity to the present to adapt frisier to feminine grace. The whole aspect of the world would be changed if Black girls had long hair. That's why I also love Cheikh Anta Diop too, because he brings humor in this. He's so intelligent and so like off the charts with it. He's like he wants to kind of make fun of the the downtrodden that has happened, and so you'll you'll hear a lot of humor in these book readings. All right, here this is 24. The statue in Egyptian princess is up at the top here. Okay. This is Egyptian princess and the coiffures. And these are other Senegalese women in the hair in the same way, wearing it. Isn't that beautiful? No discrepancy at all. Thank you. And I told you there will be no holding back, no discretion. We have to let the truth be told and be known. Thank you so much for likes and subs. All right. And this is 25. Djembe and Djere, Egyptian wigs corresponding to the Djembe and the Djere of Senegalese married women until about 1933. As you see, look, this is a wig. Absolutely powerful, beautiful. Look at that. Thank you so much for reading with us. The African origin of civilization, myth, or reality. Definitely on the side of reality as we are looking at it. These are Egyptians themselves, picking themselves, and also the things that they have had. All right. Tatomic coiffures. These hairdos are prepubescent Senegalese girls prior to World War II, correspond to that of the 18th dynasty Egyptian girl in the statuette, lower left, more than 3,500 years earlier before Moses. So you see the statuette down here at the bottom, but you see little Senegalese beauty with the same hairstyle. See, I told you, it's clear. And the more and more we read this, the more clear it will continue to be, if you haven't already put it together. Thank you so much for reading with us. Hello, peace, Tyler. Hi, it's Heart Love. All right. And the last one, 27. A Negroid of Mesopotamia, the Patisi king of Lagash, more generally known as Judea, 2300 BCE. The Metropolitan Museum of Art, purchase, Dick Fund, 1959. We got it. Beautiful. Thank you so much for reading with us. Highest heart, love, and honor. The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality by Dr. Cheikh Anta. All right. And we completed chapter 2. So now when we reconvene, going into chapter 3, thank you so much for being here and reading with us. It'll keep getting better and better. Whew. Yes, yes, yes. Shaking it up on YouTube, reading books, right? Master level books, high level information, bringing it to you for free, no commercials, and live from light. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you have a wonderful day. We will see you soon when we convene with this reading. Let's have a glass of love water in honor to all our friends and family. 2, uplifting the people. Have a great day at work. Got some work to do, right? Go heal the people. So I love you. Thank you. So grateful and thankful for all I have now and all that is coming to me. Thank you so much. Highest heart, love, and honor. Mm. Excellent. Love. Yay. So divine. Yeah. Just playing my guitar a little bit yesterday. And now we have a new day on the horizon. So it's time to go out in the world, help to heal the people, go on the run. All right? I want you to have a wonderful day. I will see you soon. Ay, 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 ay. Love, 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 love you. Ay, ay, ay. Love you, 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 you. You know, because I love myself. Have a wonderful day. Highest heart, love, and honor. Thank you for being here. I will see you soon in the next reading. Peace, peace.